Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. So a while ago I did a build around ongoing directive and I shared my ideas around this build, and I've revisited the build to actually enhance it and make it slightly better. Now, the one big thing holding this build back will be the specialization, the situation you're playing in. So your specialization will have to really shine based on where you are. If you're playing solo, or if you're playing in a group, or if you're playing specific missions, then that specialization has to be able to do the work. But we'll look at the build in totality because I've actually tried it with three different specializations. I played one Black Tusk mission, heroic, played a True Sons heroic mission, and a level 4 control point with the cleaners. And these three missions, in all of them, I think I enjoyed specifically the sharpshooter specialization out of that's the sharpshooter. Sorry, the survivalist specialization out of all of them. Sorry, sharpshooter is not in this conversation. I don't know why I even said that. Anyways, the build is 4 ongoing directives, rolling weapon damage on all my ongoing directive pieces. If you can get headshot damage, that'd be really nice. If you can get maybe critical hit damage, you don't need it. Just headshot damage is what you need. So weapon damage and headshot damage is what I would say prioritize, because this build is basically pure damage. There's no need for crits or whatever. And now if you can find crits anywhere, then I guess that's okay, but I would not bother about that basically. And then I'm running a Badger Tough backpack that has Wicked on it. It also has weapon damage. This is the best one that I was able to kind of get my hands on. And so this is another weakness of this particular build, where you're running it and you basically could use other stats here, but because I had to go get weapon damage at the max, that's the best I could do on that backpack. And then my holster, Imperial Dynasty holster, status effect and hazard protection. This is the one I got a while ago. It's been doing some really good work for me. And then the same thing, weapon damage on everything else, and then going from there. Now, I did some testing with different assault rifles, but the Pyromaniac, even though my Pyromaniac is not even the best, it still came out on top, which is crazy, because you can also use, ignited. But what I realized was the Pyromaniac, that extra 5% and the RPM and the magazine size just makes it absolutely worth it. So compared to like the ACR, the RPM is lower. Sure, magazine size is around the same, and then you also get 5% less damage. Even though you may have more stats on your ACR, it just seemed to me that the rate of fire was able to deal more damage over a shorter period of time. So this is something that you'll have to consider if you're running the build. And then on my shotgun, I decided to go with the tactical SASG because it's doing over half a million total damage in one hit. You could run the ACS 12. That's also an option for you to go with, but I've always liked the Sausage. I just prefer it. And this one also has some really decent talent, so I went at some really decent rolls. So I just went ahead and put Sadist on this. Now, some people might argue for the Carnage. This will not land you, in my opinion, enough damage to enhance your chest piece talent, which is the hollow point ammo, which is the ongoing directive chest piece that gives you hollow point ammo being amplified to 35% damage. So, sorry, increased, not amplified. I'm sorry, increased. Amplified will signify that this is multiplicative instead of additive. Increases is the damage is actually additive. But with the hollow point ammo, it already amplifies your weapon damage by 20%. So my Pyromaniac's damage is getting a multiplicative 20% damage and getting all that rate of fire. So that's basically what I'm running right now. Now, the other alternative I would probably run is a P416 that actually does have ignited. I'll be willing to, lose the extra 5% from the Pyromaniac, basically, and then I'll just be happy to go with one of those in regard to what talent I'll run on my weapon. But like I said, the Pyromaniac is still just better because after 3 kills versus after 4 kills and then 5% extra damage, if you don't have one, prioritize farming it. Go look for whatchamacallit, where assault rifles are being are targeted loot on the map. Now, a few things that I've learned and a few things that I've noticed is when you're running your specializations with this build, the firewall specialization allows for you to be able to deal a longer sustained burn damage, about 20% extra. So it would depend on what your preference is when you actually go that route. The first time I even ran it, I hadn't even made any enhancements to it. I ran it more in a raw state where I hadn't rolled extra damage on my Pyromaniac. That's the extra 15% damage that you're seeing. I hadn't even rolled anything on my backpack, and I just left it like that just to kind of test out and see exactly what I wanted. And that did enough damage on its own where the specialization and the damage factoring doesn't necessarily matter to me. You can still deal damage with just the 3 specializations that I've tested across the spectrum, and those specializations can still be highlighted if you want some benefits from them. So if I was playing maybe a Black Tusk mission and I wanted to go that route, I'll probably, be comfortable running if I had maybe a Jammer Pulse and I wanted to use the Technician specialization. That's something that you can also do. If you like the Gunner specialization, you want to run an LMG, I can say run an LMG as well, but because the holster is going to be doing a lot of this fire damage, you also want to try to get ignited into your build somehow, and then also kind of incorporate bleed into your build at the same time. I could run as well another assault rifle that has Sadist on it, but I also wanted to do the fire and the bleed damage because at some point, as you're hitting these enemy NPCs, they're going to be under some kind of status effect, whether they want to or not, whether you can apply it or not, because this holster is just going to continue to generate for you a lot of the status effect to improve your damage using Wicked. And so that's one of the reasons why this build is mostly going to be my very fun build to run with solo and in groups. In groups, because of the extra status effect that you gain from Survivalist, that's your allies basically. Everyone around you gains an extra 10% damage for targets that are under status effect. That is what I'll be running in a group because that has some really cool stuff as well. And then if I'm running solo, I'll just pick whichever specialization I feel like running at that point. So this is basically the build. Gameplay will continue at the end of the video. I'll probably maybe just put in some clips of the mission and some clips of the control point so that you guys can see the build in action on a bigger screen and you can judge for yourselves. So that's pretty much it from me today. Thank you for your time and audience. For those of you who are running ongoing directive, if you may, please share your ideas with me in the comment section so that people who are curious, who have ongoing directive pieces in their stash can actually pick them up, dust them off and build around them, something that's viable and something that's enjoyable to run in the game. Another crazy idea though, and I have to quickly say this, sorry for taking an extended time, is if you were to maybe run this with an SMG build, if you're already somebody who's running SMGs and you wish to actually run an SMG build using this as a basis, I would largely say this can be viable in that sense. But if you want to check out an SMG build video that I did, check my previous video. I talked about SMGs and the challenges, so you have to also be sure that the challenges you're going to be facing don't hamper your enjoyment, but you understand how SMG builds can be used because they're a little difficult to use because of the way the game is designed right now. All right, that's it for me. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
An agent needs assistance. Immediate medical assistance needed. Agent down.
Anything that's
Agent down. Vital signs critical.
I'll destroy it! Your head in the game. I can't see it! I see him!
Detecting additional hostile contacts.